Hey guys, Pete here again with my third video in my trapping series and trapping plus series. I guess we'll be talking about more than just trapping, but right now we're still on trapping. And just want to review real quick the purpose of my videos. It's first of all to provide information to beginning trappers about basics of trapping and encourage more people to get into it. And like I said, the more people we have that trap in Idaho, the more power we have with the legislature and with the Fish and Game. And so I really encourage you, if you're an outdoors man or outdoors woman, and you're looking for something to do for part of the year, get into trapping. Also, something that I might mention about that is if you're a big duck hunter, I have some friends who are big waterfowl hunters. You got some good duck spots, look around. There's probably some muskrat sign there. If you're during the Christmas break and stuff like that, when you're going out and hunting every single day or every other day, great time to set some muskrat traps. Go check them when you're out there duck hunting. Just make sure you're within the check limit time for Idaho, which is 72 hours. So it's something you can do to kind of supplement your outdoor activities. Also doing these videos to talk about long spring trapping, which I use long springs. And like I said, there's not a lot of information on YouTube about long spring traps. And so not as many people use them anymore. So that's part of it. Also Western trapping. Obviously we're out west, we're in Idaho. And there's a lot of videos about Eastern stuff, not a lot about Western stuff online. I know there are other videos that have been produced, but just not necessarily on YouTube. And finally, to dispel misinformation about trapping is another reason for doing these, so that the public that doesn't know anything about it can learn something about it. So when stuff ends up on the ballots at election time, they can make an informed decision about it. So those are my reasons. And finally, my last disclaimer is, remember, I'm not an expert. I've been doing this for a while, and I've learned and made mistakes and everything else. My point in doing this isn't to claim to be an expert. It's not to try to make myself a famous trapper. It's just to try to show you guys some stuff that's helpful. So today I'm going to do 2 trap modifications, and then I'm going to show you why I do them. Okay, so I'm going to do them kind of quick, so this isn't as long as a video. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put an aftermarket pan on this trap. Okay, and I'm going to put a swivel on the chain just to show you how to do those 2 things. So if you're a new trapper, this is how you do it. When I went to put these pans on these traps, I couldn't find any YouTube videos that showed how to do it with just basic tools. Everyone was using, saws and welders and torches and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I know how to weld. I took FFA and ag in high school. And if you're in high school and you're watching this, I suggest you take agriculture so you can learn how to weld and so you can learn some small engine repair. It's the stuff that you'll use later. So take it. But I don't have a welder here in my garage, and I don't have a whole bunch of tools. I got kind of what you see is what you get. And so I kind of had to figure out how to do it with just the tools I had. And so I'm going to show you how to put on what they call the trip pans, or the Positrip pan system, which will allow you to adjust the pan tension, which I'll explain why that matters at the end. And they're night latched, and I'll explain what that is, okay? They're great pans. And then I'm going to put a swivel on the chain to show you how to do that too. So I've already taken off the old dog pin and the old pan. Always save them, because you can always put them back on if you need to, okay? They're not very hard to get off. Try to do the least amount of damage you can when you get them off. I usually use a flathead screwdriver, put it in the notch of the old pan, and then you just force it open. If you want to put it back on, put this back through and close it with a pair of pliers. That's all you got to do, okay? With the pin, it's sitting there. You just put a flathead screwdriver in there, bend this out, and it pops right off. But save them, because you may need it. Okay, the first part of doing this is the piece that's going to go underneath, that's going to hold the pan. Okay, this is going to attach to the dog. This is spring treated steel, so you can't just bend it down with a pair of pliers. You got to kind of bang it down. And what I like to do is I like to get it started first. So I take my sledgehammer and I get this side started. And then I get this side started a little bit deeper. So it's started. Okay, then I put it on, I set it up here, and I take a regular hammer first, and I'm going to knock the sides down as much as I can with the hammer. That's as far as I need to go with this hammer. Then I take a ball peen hammer, and I use a small one, and then I turn this so that I can get a little better angle. I put it down here on the anvil portion of my vise, and I'm gonna put those edges all the way down. Okay, now there's no movement there, so that's on there solid. And you can bend these back off and take them off if you need to put them on a different trap. Obviously, the best way to do this is to weld it. So you could just cut that section off and spot weld this with like a wire feed welder. That would be the ideal way, but then you can't take it off if you don't want to. If you bend it on like this, then you can always remove it if you need to. And that corner's sticking up a little bit, so I'm gonna knock that down just a little more. There we go. All right, so see, that's on. Now, I'm gonna come over here. Here's the pans. I'm gonna set the pan right there. And I'm gonna take out my screw, my nut, and I'm just gonna feed the screw through. It's simple. Oops, usually, until I'm filming myself. Slide right in. And then I'm gonna push it through. And sometimes you're gonna need to use a screwdriver just to thread it right into that other hole on the other side. You can use a drill to do this too. It's faster. I have a drill. I'm just easier to explain what I'm doing when I'm not having to talk over the sound of a drill. All right, now pans through, or the screws through. They give you these locking nuts. You can screw them on finger tight to a point, and then you have to grab them with your trapping pliers or whatever. And then just let the bolt feed, or the nut feed back towards the dog till it's flush. And see how there's some tension in that? It just doesn't just fall. And I'll show you here at the end in a minute. Now, the mistake you'll make with this is you'll try to hook it in this way, and that's going to make it too low. You actually hook it, it hooks in over the top. So this just goes in. Really easy. Take your pliers and you're just going to close them with your pliers. Good to go. It's not going anywhere. Okay. Now, that pan's been adjusted, so I'm going to set it. So I set it on there. See how the pan's sitting up really high right now, and that's kind of for my safety. Turn your springs. Now you're going to listen for this click, and this is a night latch. So a night latch is like a hair trigger on a trap. Okay, so I'll pull this down until I hear it click. Night latched. And look at that. I mean, that is almost dead flush. You know, it's great. And the pan's actually a little bit bigger than stock pan, so that part's done. Real quick, how to put a swivel on a chain. Swivels are great modifications. They're cheap. You can never have too many swivels. But don't feel like when you get your brand new traps that you have to like go out and like add a whole bunch of swivels right away. Your traps are fine, but it's nice to add swivels because it'll keep the trap chain from binding up. And that's usually what animals will do to try to escape. So you just pick a spot on the chain to cut, and on this double link chain, I like to cut both links off on one double link. I don't like to leave that one half link on there because I don't think it's strong. Bolt cutters are a good investment. It's a lot easier than trying to hacksaw this stuff. Your swivels will come, these are box swivels. They're the heavy duty ones, and then I think these are called box swivels. They're heavy duty, and these are the heavy duty J hooks. I get the heavy duty ones, and I do not weld them. But I don't trap wolves. If I ever started trapping wolves, or if we ever started to allow mountain lion trapping here, then I would weld them. But with coyotes, I don't feel like I need to weld them. I've never had a coyote straighten out a J hook. Now, if you have, then I'm not saying it never happens. I'm just saying I never have myself. So I just thread it through like this. Here we are, and go over the link of the chain. This is a swivel, or not a swivel, a J hook and S hook crimper. Buy one. It will save you a lot of time and energy. You set it into the crimper like so, okay? And then you basically just crimp that J-hook down. And I get it till it's touching, so see, I don't weld these, but some guys will put a spot weld right there. There's nothing wrong with that, and if I had a welder, I probably would, just so I would have more time to dink around out here in the garage and drive my wife crazy for still working on traps when it's May or June. But I don't weld these because, like I said, I'm not trapping wolves or mountain lions. If I did start trapping those, I would definitely be welding these. All right, so the next one, same deal. I like to rest this on my leg a little bit so I can get that lined up. Now it's lined up. Okay, and I'm just gonna crimp it down. And there's a swivel. And I like to have one swivel about 6 to 7 inches from the trap itself. Okay, there's always, I put one there, then I got that one there, and that's it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 swivel points on the trap. Now come over here. I'm gonna show you something down here. So this is an old school pans on there, the stock pan that comes on these old Victors. Nothing wrong with this. Lots and lots of coyotes get caught in these traps, okay? This is a new one, modified, and I've already set the pan tension on this to about 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. I'm gonna night latch it down to the night latch. Set. Now, why do I want pan tension? Well, can you catch a coyote with that trap? Yeah, I caught a whole bunch last year in old school traps like that. I'm not saying you can't do it, you know, but you know, there's no tension on that pan. I mean, there's probably a 1/4 pound of tension on that pan. I just barely hit it. There it goes. Okay, so a coyote comes walking along and he starts to step on that pan and feels any creep or any give in the ground, he's gonna jerk his foot back. So unless he's not paying attention, just plunking on along, just slamming his feet down, which coyotes don't do. When you watch them, they're you know, when they're approaching a set or something, approaching something they smell, they don't just usually come barreling in unless it's really, really cold and they're really, really hungry. They're gonna come in a little cautious, you know, taking steps, slowly putting their weight down. And so they start to slowly put their weight down, and you have any pan creep in that, or they feel something start to move underground, they're gonna pull their foot out, pull their foot back, and the trap's gonna miss, or you're gonna catch a toe or a toenail or something. You're gonna have a coyote nail in your trap. These, you can put pan tension on. So for coyotes, I like to go about 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds. Some guys go as much as 5. I like to go about 3.5. That way skunks don't set it off, birds won't set it off, mice won't set it off. A coyote will have to step on it to set it off. So this sledgehammer is about 2.5 pounds, close to 3. You can set that on there, it doesn't go. Now I'm gonna give it a little push. There it goes. That's why, okay? 2 easy trap modifications. The pit pans, they call them pit pans, or positive trip pans. You can get them at any of the major trap manufacturers or trap outlets like Minnesota Brand, F&T Fur Harvesters, Snare Shop, you know, any of those online. They're about $6 a piece, $5 a piece. They're kind of spendy, but if you can get used double long springs for $5 a piece, and then you get your positive trip pan system for $5, you spent $10 on that trap, as opposed to a brand new double long spring trap, the ones that are still made, they're still manufactured, they're gonna be over $20, okay? And then I showed a swivel modification, how to put a swivel onto a chain. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, email me. If there's something you'd like me to cover, great. Remember, I'm not an expert, but I do my best as a short line trapper in the winter, doing predation management and having fun. Remember, God is great, guns are good, and freedom is precious, so hold on to it. See you next time.